Thanks, Adrian. And the usual tremendous atmosphere at Selhurst Park as fireworks and plumes of flame go up into the air. In the distance, the smell of acrid smoke lingers, and the two sets of players are standing either side of the halfway line. A huge mass of photographers either side of the dugouts as Erik ten Hag and Oliver Glasner go to sit down. It's been fascinating watching Crystal Palace's big improvements, and tonight they go in search of their first ever league double over Manchester United, who amid so many injuries have slipped down to 8th, though victory tonight would take them back 6th with 3 games left to play. Here are the two teams. Palace with Henderson in goal, Clyne, Anderson and Richards the defenders, Munoz and Mitchell the wing-backs, Wharton and Hughes in midfield, Elise and Eze either side, and Mateta up front. What form he's enjoyed since Oliver Glasner took charge. 8 Premier League goals in 10 games. For Manchester United, no Bruno Fernandes. His replacement is Mason Mount, his first Manchester United start since the beginning of November. Onana is in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro captains the side, Evans in for Maguire, and Dalot are the back four. Mainu and Eriksson holding, Anthony, Mount and Garnacho behind Højlund up front. And the subs benches for Crystal Palace: Matthews the goalkeeper, Ward, Gehi back on the bench, Ayew, Schlupp, Hamada, Edouard, Riedewald and Rak-Sakyi. For Manchester United, Altay and Heaton the goalkeepers, Amrabat and Ahmad what you would call the senior players, and perhaps Willy Kambwala as well. Otherwise, Harry Amas, Ethan Wheatley, Lewis Jackson, Habib Ogunei, all teenagers, and 20-year-old Toby Collier. Danny Murphy, you enjoying the pre-match atmosphere I saw there as Glad All Over rang around Selhurst Park, and they are feeling good, aren't they, and with good reason.
Joe, I've played here many times and I've always thought it was a wonderful place, you know, in terms of the atmosphere, and they create that electricity here. They enjoy their football, and I think at the moment everyone's happy, aren't they, because of Palace's recent form. I saw the manager taking the plaudits and the applause, and rightly so. Might as well take them when they're there, because, you know, there's going to be gloomier days, isn't there, for everyone. But yeah, I've been really impressed with what they've done, the changing system Aid and I were just talking about. Obviously the return of Elise and Eze has helped that because of the creativity they possess, and it's looking positive. The biggest problem for Palace, of course, when things are going well and players are playing well, is that then the Eagles come hovering, or the Vultures I should say, and they want to pick those players away, don't they? They want to take them off. So be interesting summer for Palace.
And for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, the injury problems continue to mount. This starting 11, should it be good enough to get a result? Should it be good enough to get a win tonight?
Well, when you look at the players individually, they're all terrific talents and a lot of international experience, but the problem is they haven't played together, this group, for a while. You know, probably not this season at all, this trio in midfield, for example. You know, Johnny Evans, Casemiro, centre-back, not ideal. Lack of legs, lack of pace. So yes, on paper they've got good players, but as a team unit with any cohesion and rhythm, you would expect them to struggle.
Less than 2 weeks to go until the end of the season. All the twists and turns on TalkSport are off and underway at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace in possession, playing from right to left towards the White Horse Lane end of the stadium. And Crystal Palace in their familiar colours, of course, of the blue and red halved shirts, blue shorts and blue socks. And Manchester United all in white tonight, playing from left to right towards the Holmesdale Road end. Early ball into the feet of Højlund, who can't get it under control. Joachim Andersen was there, the centre-half, who scored the winner at Old Trafford in the Premier League earlier in the season. And it's the former Manchester United goalkeeper in green, Dean Henderson, who'll throw it out to the right-back position. And Munoz, high ball over the top from Nathaniel Clyne. He can't find Michael Elise, and Manchester United have it back now with Johnny Evans, who Erik ten Hag will be very thankful for tonight, given Manchester United's crisis is particularly bad in terms of injuries in the centre-half positions. Casemiro continues at the back tonight. Here's Mitchell, left wing position for Crystal Palace. Oh, and a miscommunication. Evans in front of the goalkeeper, clears. Elise with the shot with the outside of his boot, and it's gone behind for a corner. Surely there was a shout from Onana there, Danny.
I think there was, but sometimes even though you get the shout, you decide early in the game, I'm not taking the risk. A little bit rash, wasn't it?
It did feel it, but he is, as you say, very experienced, Johnny Evans. Crystal Palace have the first corner of the game. And why shouldn't they feel glad all over? Unbeaten in their last 4 in the Premier League. Wharton's taking it short to Eze. Left-hand edge of the penalty area. Heads for the dead ball line. He's blocked off by Mason Mount. A very rare opportunity in an injury-hit season for Mason Mount to impress from the start today. Little turn by Mitchell inside the penalty area. And he shrugged aside Casemiro. Sandwiched in between Casemiro and Evans, who I think did get a touch on the ball. And the referee, as Mitchell went to ground inside the box, said no penalty.
Right decision. Mitchell made the most of that. Again, a little bit sloppy from United. They won the ball back and then gave it straight back to Palace.
Well, Jared Gillett, who is wearing a head-mounted camera tonight, the first referee in the Premier League ever to do that. It won't be broadcast live. It's being saved for a special programme at some stage. I think did have a quick word with the VAR, but they quickly decided it wasn't worthy of a penalty.
I think it's an awful thing to actually put the pressure on the ref. They've got enough going on anyway. To add that pressure to it, I think it's a ridiculous decision.
And knowing that everything's going to be replayed and looked back on in however many weeks' time.
Taking enough criticism. They're struggling at the moment, and then what you do is you add a bit more pressure. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a camera on your head.
That's what referees have got to deal with now at Premier League level. Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 0. Less than 3 minutes played. If you're just joining us live on TalkSport. And Onana has the ball, dressed all in black, away to our left-hand side. Onana drives the clearance downfield. Terrible clearance, intercepted by Hughes, and Mateta's neat layoff to Eze, who tries a cross from the left-wing position. It hits a Manchester United defender, and fortunately for Onana, it's back in his possession. But Danny, he has proven a little more error-prone again in recent weeks, Andre Onana.
Yeah, you're always expecting one. What's crucial for United is they don't turn over the ball when they're set with the keeper and they split and they spread the pitch. If they turn it over, Eze and Elise are in great little pockets. When they've got time to defend, Wan-Bissaka and Dalot will follow them in, but when they're set with the ball and they turn it over, it's a real problem for them.
Anderson shepherds the ball back to goalkeeper Henderson.
Great ball.
And that's a lovely pass, isn't it? Floated high by Henderson, out to the right. And Munoz, who's been very impressive since joining Crystal Palace in the winter window, wasn't able to control. And it's a throw to Manchester United. All the way on that far side, the opposite side to where we are here in the main stand, which is showing its age. Lots of pillars and a low-slung roof. Speak for yourself.
Well, I was actually referring to me and Adrian, but yeah, I'll leave you out of it.
Here's Klein on the far side, the right for Crystal Palace. He can't find Mateta, for once Mateta's touch is a little bit loose, albeit under pressure. And Manchester United have the ball now with Garnacho tearing upfield on the left-hand side. Ball infield to Ericsson in a central position, and Mainu drives it first time right-footed, right out to the near side, the right. And Dalot, who's midway into the Crystal Palace half, directly in front of where we're sitting in the commentary box. Back he goes to Ericsson with the blue boots on. Ericsson shaped to scamper in field, instead rolls the ball back to Casemiro. It's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 0 in the early stages. And now it's with Wan-Bissaka, who started out in the left-back position. It was good to see Wan-Bissaka get a good reception from his former fans when he came out to warm up earlier, Danny Murphy.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, people with Wan-Bissaka, there's one thing you can never question with him, it's his attitude and application. He's always fighting for the cause. Yeah, sometimes he can lack a bit of quality going forward, but he defends with his life and he puts his body on the line, which fans always appreciate.
Mount has run from the halfway line out to the left wing position. He's set up Garnacho, little flick by Mount back into the path of Wan-Bissaka in a congested area, corner of the penalty area, faced up by two Palace players in blue and red. It's dinked over the top by Mainu, and he can't find Mount with that hopeful ball up the inside left channel, way too much on it. And Crystal Palace have a goal kick at the Holmesdale Road end, which as usual has got those Crystal Palace fanatics standing in the middle of the stand, clapping hands high above their heads, the usual flags and the usual banners, and how Oliver Glasner has turned the mood around here. 15 points from 10 league games so far. They only picked up 25 points in 25 under Roy Hodgson, and then that one a caretaker game for Paddy McCarthy and Ray Lewington. It feels a long time ago, that now.
It does. They've settled well now, Man United, passing the ball around, looking reasonably confident.
Yes, it's been Manchester United who've enjoyed most of the possession so far. Mount plays it back to Casemiro. Casemiro thumps the ball up the middle. It's too long for Højlund. Højlund the thumbs up for the attempt of the pass from Casemiro, and it's gathered by Dean Henderson. So Casemiro captaining the team, and now 4 starts in a row at centre half. No Rashford, no McTominay for Manchester United. Lindelof and Martinez still a little way away yet, and of course Harry Maguire joining the injury list. And a big doubt, you would have thought, for the FA Cup final against Manchester City at the end of the month, which of course is another potential route into Europe. That could be a foul on Mateta by Mainoo. No, says the referee.
Well, he got away with it, but why Mainoo's being left on Mateta, that is a mismatch if ever you've seen one. I understand Mainoo's dropping in with Casemiro and Evans when Palace have got the ball, so releasing Dalot and Wan-Bissaka to try and go after Eze and Elise. Interesting tactic, see how that develops. But what you don't want is Mateta pinning Mainoo too often.
He is such a potent threat, particularly at Selhurst Park. Jean-Philippe Mateta, the big striker who is an obvious target man, but he's more than that. He's very capable of finishing at Premier League level, as he's proven under the Austrian Glasner, the head coach, who's standing on the edge of his technical area, Erik ten Hag, with a dark jacket on just to his left. They're really small little technical areas here. Everything is quite compact and close to the pitch at Selhurst Park, and that's part of the reason why the atmosphere is so often so good. Result from earlier, by the way, in the first leg of the League Two playoff semi-final. Danny's old club Crewe beaten 2-0 by Doncaster. Here come Manchester United down the right with Højlund, and he wins a throw deep into opposition territory. Anthony takes it quickly, and he gets the return ball from Eriksen. He's popped it back to Mainoo in the middle of midfield. Quickly square to Mount. Mount turns away from Elise, and then his pass towards the corner of the box was well read by Munoz, who poked it away from the defensive third. Crystal Palace unable to hold on to the ball, which has been a theme of the first 8.5 minutes or so far. And Wan-Bissaka has teased it left to Garnacho. He's one-on-one with Nathaniel Klein. He steered the ball infield, but Hughes is there to intercept before it can reach Eriksen. Now Eze wriggles away from both Casemiro and Eriksen. What a player, just shy of the halfway line. It's good for them to have him back tonight, Crystal Palace. Still 0-0 as Elise cuts in field onto that favoured left foot, his signature move. Hughes little touch onto Eze, edge of the D, through the legs of Dalot. Eze trying to poke it through towards Mateta. Lovely football from Crystal Palace in the build-up. Manchester United clear, they could be on the counter. Anderson's there on the cover to beat Anthony to it.
Beautiful skill on the edge of the box from Eze, a little nutmeg on Dalot, but can't dive in with him. You get done if you dive in. He's got to be more patient there, Dalot. They got away with it.
Well, quite simply, the stats bear out that when Elise and Eze start together in the Premier League, they're just a completely different team, Crystal Palace. There's no great surprise, but they are, along with Jean-Philippe Mateta, you'd have to say, since Oliver Glasner took charge, the key men. But Adam Wharton's really made a name for himself in midfield, as Danny was mentioning, since joining from Blackburn Rovers, and it's been a settled formation as well. The 3-4-3 has worked well so far for Crystal Palace under Glasner.
Yeah, it's definitely helped them. There's more support for Mateta, which we were talking about. There's a bit more emphasis on attack and creating chances.
A long ball upfield by Onana, headed away by Chris Richards with the long curly hair, and now it's dropped in the centre circle for Mainoo to wriggle away from Hughes. That could be an interesting battle in the middle of midfield tonight. Garnacho just inside Crystal Palace territory, and Manchester United look quite composed and quite sharp actually when they've got the ball so far. 0-0.
They do. Palace a little bit off it, the pace, just not. I said to Aid before when we were talking about the mentality, when you've been playing so well and you've got yourself safe in a really comfortable position, you can just lose that edge a little bit.
It's 40 points for Crystal Palace, and of course Manchester United still chasing the top six, and they'll get there tonight if they get a victory. Here is Mateta, holds the ball up under no pressure really whatsoever, and then turns into the Manchester United half, who bursts beyond Kobbie Mainoo down the far side the right. Nobody really up in support of Mateta, save for Klein, who eventually, Munoz rather, who eventually gets there midway inside the Manchester United half, in front of where the travelling fans are, occupying about a third or so of the stand on the far side. They're all on their feet. And now Mitchell, near side the Crystal Palace left, loves to get forward into Elise with the pass. It's blocked off by Casemiro, then Eriksen, half lost out to Wharton in the middle of midfield. Mitchell tracking back, sends Anthony sprawling. Manchester United free kick taken quickly by Eriksen, right down the middle, but Dean Henderson had a good starting position and is able to claim.
Unlucky from Eriksen, quick thinking, I like that. Great run from Garnacho, better ball, he would have been in.
It was a clever idea, wasn't it, from Christian Eriksen, who has suddenly got back into the side in the last couple of weeks, again perhaps in part thanks to the injury problems that Manchester United have had. Just one win in their last 6 in the Premier League, as the ball drops out of play for a throw to Crystal Palace in the right wing back position. What have you made of the first 11 and a half minutes, Danny Murphy?
Yeah, not as frenetic as I thought it might be. Palace a little bit off it. One thing they've got to start with, when you play wing backs, you need to spread the pitch. You've got to get that switch a lot more to move the team about that playing. Oh, beautiful.
Elise silky away from Casemiro. Now he goes up through the gears, up to the edge of the penalty area, and he's rolled it into the corner. Manchester United completely backed off, and Elise said thank you very much and rolled it beyond Onana into the bottom corner. Once Casemiro was gone, Manchester United were utterly exposed, and their problems, their injury issues, their problems at centre-half totally laid bare there by one of Crystal Palace's most talented young stars. Michael Elise down the middle, left-footed into the corner, and Crystal Palace are glad all over again. But where were Manchester United? Palace 1-0 up.
Well, it's quite simply an awful decision from Casemiro. He flies into Elise, more or less falls over. He skips by him like he's not there, and Johnny Evans is left isolated, and he decides to guess that he's going to slip Mateta in, which leaves the space open for him. Look, Casemiro's not a centre-half. We know what a wonderful player he's been, but that's a lazy decision. He's 30 yards ahead of Johnny Evans. You can't go to ground. Elise skipped by him without even trying. Mainoo's left in his wake. He can't get there, and Johnny Evans has to make a decision. I go to the ball, he slips Mateta in, or I guess that he's going to play Mateta in. And then of course when you give him that room, the finish was accomplished of a confident young man, but absolutely atrocious defending.
Well, it looked like Dalot had to come across there,
but he had the same issue with a man on his right,
who was Mitchell. And so 1-0 to Crystal Palace, and Selhurst is bouncing again on a mild Monday night in May. It's Crystal Palace who lead live on TalkSport. The ball is with Mount on the edge of the penalty area. Manchester United on the attack straight from kick-off, with Wan-Bissaka's in-swinging deflected cross blocked off by Munoz. It's down by the dead ball line. Munoz gets back and the goal kick is given, and you simply can't give a player like Michael Elise the freedom of the 18-yard box.
Well, I mean, you make a point about Dalot and I make the point about Evans. There does come a time where the ball is key and you have to risk them playing the pass. They both made the decision to anticipate the pass, which is quite unusual in defensive terms. It's how some defenders defend, but normally you'd squeeze the space and make them pass. But they both made the wrong choice, and the space just kept opening up. It all starts from Casemiro leaving his position to go 30 yards hunting the ball, goes to ground, Elise skips by him, and then you're open.
And Manchester United's decent start is over emphatically here under the lights in South London, as Anderson gets across on the right hand side, the far side for Crystal Palace, and he's winning that battle so far with Højlund. He's rattled it off his shins, and that's a Crystal Palace throw. We've got Champions League football tomorrow and Wednesday, the semi-final second legs. Playoff action tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Sunday. Olympiacos against Aston Villa on Thursday in the Europa Conference League semi-final second leg on TalkSport. Fulham against Manchester City, huge game in the Premier League on Saturday lunchtime, and Burnley against Tottenham on TalkSport 2 as well on Saturday. Worth getting the TalkSport app. That's where you can swipe between both stations. Mateta corner the penalty area, robbed by Evans, and suddenly the momentum in the Crystal Palace attack is gone. Good sliding tackle by Hughes on Mount. His name rings around Selhurst Park.
They love a tackle, the fans still, don't they? Nothing gets a cheer better than smashing someone in a tackle.
It's not all about flair and guile. Good reverse ball up the middle by Eze as Elise darted infield and tried to reach it in a central position, but Johnny Evans had the head start and Manchester United clear. They're 1-0 down at Crystal Palace. Good ball as the two teams meet for the third time this season. That pass from Casemiro over the top down the right towards Højlund. Right in front of us on the near side, a neat back heel to Eriksson. We're about 25 rows from the edge of the pitch here, a good view of the half that Manchester United are attacking, but you can hear the ironic cheers, and that's because Mason Mount has just knocked it straight out of play on what is his first start since the beginning of November. Well, Erik ten Hag, Danny, looked like he couldn't believe it. Immediately after the goal was conceded, his arms up into the air as if to say, well,
we couldn't watching it because it just opened. And defenders generally will commit to go towards the ball and then risk the pass. They both made the wrong choice. They're both guessing. It's so many bad decisions in the whole goal. It's not just Casemiro.
And so Manchester United behind. Yeah. Well, I wonder, again, you have to say, Danny, if a Maguire's in the team, or a Lindelof or a Martinez.
Well, more natural central defence, of course, yeah. You don't take that risk by guessing. You force the pass.
Anthony chinking down the right for Manchester United. Great reverse ball to the underlapping Dalot, who picks up Mason Mount, left-footed shot. That's well blocked. Good move from Manchester United, really down the near side, the right. Now Crystal Palace counter. Mateta's brought it down. Midway into Manchester United territory. The game seems a lot more open now all of a sudden. Palace lead by a goal to nil. And we've had 17 interesting minutes here in South London.
Should have done better, Mount. He didn't quite get hold of it on his left foot, but it was a great move. He had time on the edge of the box, took his nice touch and then just dragged it a little bit. It was good defending, but good block.
And surely more to come from Mason Mount in a Manchester United shirt. As I say, part of the long injury list they've had this season. If you include Bruno Fernandes and Harry Maguire, 2 out tonight. That's 63 times this season that Manchester United have had a player unavailable due to injury or illness. As Crystal Palace win a free kick, 12-15 yards or so into the Manchester United half, and they are a team with their tails up at the moment, that's for sure.
They are. It's a very open game, actually. Yep. Very open game, and I think it's going to continue that way because of United's need to get a result. Palace have got, they're committing that front three forward. When United have got the ball, there's loads of space. The wing backs have got space for Palace.
And we're in the 19th minute, and Elise is the man standing over it. It's pretty much dead centre. It's just on the edge of the centre circle here.
In fact, Joe, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be more goals here. I'm going to risk it.
There's a bold prediction.
I'm going to risk it, mate.
Hedging your bets there, Danny. Elise, well, he's just going to dink this probably towards the left-hand corner of the penalty area as we look at it. He does. High towards Richards, the centre-half. Climbing at the back post. Richards, who's having a good run in the team, gets his head to it, but it's bounced harmlessly wide and away for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was too floaty. It was a nothing ball, that. Even if he got his head on it, it's hard to generate the power.
So Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. Manchester United have Onana in possession. And you're listening to Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. Onana again in possession for Manchester United. They're a little leaden-footed here as they look to come out of the defensive third. It's Evans at walking pace. And Crystal Palace are perfectly happy with that. Hard-working side with that sprinkling of quality. And Oliver Glasner is quite energetic on the near side touchline here at the front of the main stand, pointing and issuing some instructions. As Onana again on the ball at walking pace, little square pass to Evans, who plays for the first time since Manchester United's almost inexplicable defeat at Chelsea last month. And now it's with Mainoo, 10 yards from the halfway line. It's not quite been this lacking in intensity for Manchester United so far. As they move into the Palace half, suddenly the speed of thought and play does step up a bit, and it's Mainoo through to Mount, onto Højlund in the penalty area, and it couldn't get it sorted out his feet. It went through his legs under pressure from Richards and through to the gloves of Henderson.
It's good intricate play from Man U. Starts with Mainoo. Mount's picking up some great little positions there in that space between Wharton and the back three. He's good at that. He was always good at it. It's just that little final bit of quality, and he'll get it right if he keeps getting in there.
Well, there have been flashes for Mason Mount. That Premier League goal away at Brentford being one of those. Manchester United don't have a particularly good time of it in London of late, as Anthony wins the ball back on the halfway line, but his touch is really poor, and it'll roll beyond the challenge of Mainoo into the path of Elise. He's played it on to Munoz, angle tight, Elise, it hit Mateta, hit his own man, and Casemiro will steer it away from Manchester United, who've just had another big layoff. They are far too easy at the moment to create chances against.
Well, it stemmed from a brilliant bit of defensive work from Will Hughes in the middle of the pitch, and when Elise, they've got a 4v3, he plays it out to the right, and Muniz gives it him back. Should be a goal. It's a poor finish, really. He's got to miss him there. Pulls it back, Muniz, outside of the foot from Elise, and it hits Mateta. I think you have to side foot that firm to the near post to get really good contact behind it. Don't flick at it with the outside of your foot. That would have been a mountain to climb for Man U.
And they're only 1-0 down. Former England midfielder Danny Murphy with us tonight on Game Night on TalkSport, and it's been entertaining so far, the first 22 minutes or so, and delightful for Crystal Palace, who lead by a 0-0 and looking for 3 straight Premier League home wins tonight. Oliver Glasner's team had some very good results recently, including beating Liverpool at Anfield, as Wharton collects possession now, onto Eze, 25 yards out, almost poked it through to Jean-Philippe Mateta, that reverse ball, and then Eriksen is a little slow to regain possession. It's come back to Elise, 25 yards out right of centre, onto Munoz to pull it back across. Mitchell at the back post controls, lays it back, Elise straight at Onana, and the chances are mounting up now.
Goal score along the floor, leant back a little bit and scooped it into the keeper's hands. Wing backs are causing all sorts of problems, overloads all over the place. He's tried to be fair to Elise, he's tried to whip it to the far corner and just not got enough on it. Again, I think you're better really getting a good firm foot behind that low.
Meanwhile, at the other end, good hold-up play by Højlund, and now Anthony infield from the right, as he loves to do. Left foot pings the crossfield ball right to left to find Garnacho, who almost took it off the toe of the advancing Wan-Bissaka. Crystal Palace with an effective shape off the ball. They've funneled everybody in blue and red back behind Casemiro, who's got possession in the centre circle, and now Christian Eriksen back to the halfway line, and Evans. Manchester United yet to carve out really their first clear-cut opportunity, but Elise could already have at least more than the one goal that he's scored in the game so far, and he's brought the ball down just inside opposition territory, away from Wan-Bissaka, waited for the run of Munoz, instead elects to keep the ball and just pops it back very neatly to Nathaniel Klein.
I'm not sure about those little
tricks and flicks.
Not when nobody's around you and you're only one up. Just hold on a little while.
Yeah, he kicked it almost with his standing foot, didn't he? As Eze escapes both Casemiro and Dalot. Is tackled though by Eriksen just inside the Manchester United half. Good ball, Eriksen out to the left wing, and Garnacho, he accelerates up to the edge of the penalty area. Garnacho weaves away from Hughes. He's definitely tripped, or at least Hughes didn't get the ball, and that's a free kick 25 yards out. Good position this for Manchester United.
Yeah, well, I think Palace Eze will feel a little bit aggrieved. Casemiro chased him in there and he beat him easily, and then he felt he was fouled on the second one, but Garnacho does well. Goes down a little bit easily, but he does probably just touch him there, Will Hughes. Dangerous position. Dangerous position.
Danny, you scored many a free kick from this sort of range in your career. In terms of where it is, what, maybe 4 or 5 yards from the edge of the box? Is that about ideal?
Perfect. It's about perfect, especially with Eriksen's technique. It gives you when you're that close, but not so close, you can still go both ways. You've got room to get it over the wall, although they normally have the old draft excluders in these days, don't they? Didn't have them in my day.
Actually, I don't think there is one.
No, there isn't.
Nobody's lying behind the wall for this free kick. Eriksen and Mount are the two standing over it for Manchester United. It's just to the left of the edge of the D.
Yeah, what you don't want, you do not want your goalkeeper, if you're the defensive side, to guess. Because if he guesses early, we've seen it many times, they take the step, and a good, a decent enough strike, you score a goal. You want to make him, you want the wall to jump at the right time, and you want to make him get it over that wall with a bit of whip and dip. If it goes in the top corner, you take it on the chin. But that wall's got to jump and be brave, stay connected.
Eriksen stands over it, not scored for Manchester United. Christian Eriksen since August. Here he goes right-footed, and that run continues as the ball takes a deflection over the top, and it goes 2 or 3 yards over the bar for a corner.
Struck it well, struck it lovely, in fact. Good defensive work from that wall. That's what I'm talking about. You're in a wall, jumping at the right time, staying connected, making work for it.
But it came off Richards, and now Eriksen's going to trot across to take a corner in front of the two-tiered Holmesdale Road end. Very crowded inside the 6-yard box as we look either side of the main stand pillar here. Eriksen to deliver, right-footed, hoisted towards the back post. Casemiro climbing, it's a looping header, up goes the goalkeeper. It's ended up in the back of the net, and the goal will stand, at least for now. Crystal Palace fans are furious, and in the end the referee does blow for a free kick. Casemiro's header looped up high above Henderson.
Yeah, it was a foul.
And it was a foul by Højlund on the goalkeeper.
The ref didn't see it. the ref, I was watching him, he didn't see it, he had too many people in front of him. And why he should be in a better position. And Casemiro, and when you watch now, Højlund nudges him into the goal. It's a foul. I mean, I'm not one for protecting goalkeepers, but just enough.
He's leaned into the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I first thought. He's lucky. He's got to be stronger there. But he does give him a little nudge. Linesman saw it. Oh, sorry, referee's assistant.
We saw a much more controversial foul or non-foul in the end. Oh, it was a foul actually on the goalkeeper Solanke on Raya at the weekend, where there was much less contact than that.
Exactly.
Stays 1-0 to Crystal Palace. Fascinating game though on TalkSport. Oh, Mainu, pull back pass. Elise, can he go round Onana? Onana does well. You have to credit the Manchester United goalkeeper. He stood up to Michael Elise. The angle was a bit tight as Elise tried to roll it round him.
It's a poor touch from Elise. He's only got to touch it round him or shoot. Miscontrolled it. He's in one-on-one.
Mainu's mistake.
Could have had a hat-trick, Elise.
Absolutely. And he looks at the chances that he's got for a player of his quality. 1-0 Crystal Palace lead. We've had nearly 28 minutes and the ball is on the halfway line with Klein. Little touch by Wharton to find Hughes in the centre circle. Totally unmarked. As is Mitchell in space on the left-hand side. Angle tight, he clips it across. Terrible cross. Munoz with a looping header towards the back post. He actually did brilliantly, the Colombian, to make contact with that awful delivery from Mitchell that was way overhit, and in the end Onana's grasped it.
See, when the wing-backs are causing a real problem. Dallow's far too narrow, too preoccupied with Eza, and Mitchell's bombing. He's just got to slow himself down and take his time there along the floor, try and pick someone out. You don't need to put the ball in the air when you're that close to the goal. Poor ball it was from Mitchell.
So Crystal Palace a goal to the good. For the latest odds you can have to Ladbrokes right now. At Crystal Palace 5-2 on. You can back Manchester United at 13-2 or the draw at 7-2. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18+, begambleaware.org. Højlund has been caught by Anderson midway inside the Crystal Palace half. The home fans are upset about the decision as Højlund holds on to his left shin. It's a free kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, I think it's a free kick. Well, good feet from Højlund.
Anderson it was who committed the foul. We've got little monitors in our commentary position so we can look back on all of the action. And Manchester United will stay and marooned in 8th as it stands, as Eriksen floats the free kick into the box from left to right, high diagonal, and Munoz was jumping, trying to retreat under pressure from Casemiro. In the end he didn't have to make a header, and that goes out of play for a goal kick to Crystal Palace. And still Dean Henderson is yet to be tested tonight in goal.
Erik ten Hag's out on the touchline telling them to stay higher, try and press, which is really interesting actually, because that's going to leave them more vulnerable. But he's right, they need to get back in the game, take the risk.
Well, the two centre halves, Anderson and Richards, standing either side of the 6-yard box, and Anderson gets the ball from the goalkeeper and then is forced to smack it long, high into opposition territory. It's worked out well though. It's found Mateta, who got in behind Wan-Bissaka down by the corner flag, and wins Crystal Palace a throw deep into the Manchester United half.
Ten Hag asked his forwards to press, and when they pressed, Palace put 5 up, and Man U had a 5v5. Keeper played it long, and then it's a 50-50.
On by Anderson's high ball now towards the edge of the box, and Diogo Dalot with an important header. Our next Premier League commentary on Saturday lunchtime, when Manchester City go to Fulham, hoping for the victory that would take them top of the Premier League. And then at 3 o'clock on TalkSport 2 this Saturday, it's Burnley who could be relegated, taking on Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Another high ball downfield by Henderson, thumping header away by Johnny Evans of Manchester United. Now Eriksen's in the centre circle, quick ball to Anthony, infield from the right, and Anthony's pass threaded up the middle in between the two white shirts. Easy for Henderson to gather again, and Manchester United lacking that incisiveness in the final third.
Yeah, we've not seen much of Anthony, to be honest. He's not.
Oh, Watson's gone straight up the middle for Crystal Palace. Onana way out of his goal. He actually read it well. He chested it down and cleared.
He did read it well. It's where you want to be. It's where you want your keeper. If you're going to play a little bit of a higher line and he's going to play some balls, that's exactly where you want him.
There might have been ironic cheers for from the Crystal Palace fans, but Onana dealt with that okay. Munoz in the right wing position now, taking on Garnacho. Plenty forward in blue and red here for Crystal Palace, playing from right to left in the first half. Wharton's delivery is headed away by Casemiro. It'll drop down to Hughes, 30 yards out. Not a regular goal scorer, Will Hughes, by any means, even though there were Crystal Palace fans shouting for him to shoot. And now Elise holds onto the ball diligently, knew there was not a way then beyond Anthony, so plays it backwards to Richards, and now steered forward by Anderson to Elise, and Crystal Palace keep possession very effectively here.
Yeah, it's better possession from Palace. Oh, we tempted.
We should know that, shouldn't we, Danny, by now?
Yeah.
Mateta's giving it away.
They'll be disappointed, Palace, that they've not got more than one, because you know what it's like, football. You have your good spell in a game where you have your chances, and then all of a sudden momentum switches, the other team get back in with a goal, and you think, oh, we've let it go. And they've had clear-cut chances as well. They've all seemed to have fallen for Elise.
And they are up against a Manchester United side who we know have conceded plenty, but we know are very capable in attack as well.
Absolutely.
Casemiro turns and plays it back to Onana, and Onana with a raking high ball bounces up towards the edge of the penalty area. Owen Richards only got a half touch on it. Henderson will come out and get there. Got a good call, that Henderson, for Mitchell to leave it, and before Dalot could reach the pass, long pass upfield for Manchester United. Now Eze has dropped into the left back position. He just turns, nonchalantly glides away from Anthony, and then a step over, just shuffle beyond Eriksen. He's making it look easy tonight, Eze, and a good ball out to the right, and Munoz. Crystal Palace, some of their flair players almost showboating at times, and Munoz is trying to dart beyond Wan-Bissaka, corner of the penalty area, back to Elise. Was he fouled by Mount on the edge of the box? No, I think that was the right decision. Play goes on. Wharton's chip cross field, right to left, headed away, only half away by Anthony in a wrestling match with Mitchell, who goes down. They want a free kick again, Crystal Palace, but again nothing given by Jared Gillett. And Manchester United, who are trailing by a goal to nil, have the ball back. We are inside the 34th minute at a raucous Selhurst. It's always a great atmosphere under the lights here, and Wan-Bissaka for Manchester United has played it left to Garnacho infield from the left wing, back out wide to Wan-Bissaka on the overlap, cross towards Højlund, who got a glancing touch but could only turn it behind under pressure.
You know what, it was a good move from United. It was started by Eriksen's calmness, and when it is a bit frenetic and Palace are on, you need someone to take some sting out of the game. He played a little 1-2, and then he switched the play to just beat that little Palace press. Got to try and get him on the ball more, Eriksen. I'd drop him in a little bit, me personally. I'd play him deeper and only play Mount. I'd play Mainu and Eriksen in front of the back two.
Well, Manchester United continuing at the moment, tonight at least, to struggle to create in attack against a very determined Crystal Palace rearguard. Mainu's had to go across to the left-back position where he's under great pressure from Mateta, who almost feels like a foot taller, and he's won it back as Mateta with the help of Munoz on the Palace right. Munoz goes in for a 50-50, not once but twice, and ends up fouling Mainu with the second one, having beaten, I think, Evans to the first, and that's a free kick, and slightly overexcited there, Daniel Munoz, though they are...
It was a good foul to give away.
He's becoming a favourite, isn't he, Danny, as well, Munoz here?
There was another occasion. The game, when Henderson's got the ball, the game is split into two. You've got a 5v5 this end and a 5v5 that end. It's bizarre. Yeah, it's really bizarre. There's a huge gap in the middle, and it's high-risk play. It could go either way.
Here is Wharton onto Hughes. There is a big gap now for Hughes to drive into. He's reached the midway point of the Manchester United half. Now up to the corner of the penalty area. Further wide is Tyrick Mitchell. Manchester United are funneling white-shirted players back behind the ball. Hughes tries to turn on the edge of the box back to goal, robbed of possession by Eriksen and poked forward by Anthony, intercepted by Anderson, who's been dominant so far in dealing with both Mount and Højlund, and eventually the ball's out to play. Manchester United throw.
Yeah, I like Mitchell. I think he's a really good player, but when you play wing-back and you get into that final third on lots of different occasions, you have to try and have a bit more of a picture when you get the ball, a bit more of a plan on what you're going to do. Sometimes just a little bit, taking a bit too long to, am I going to cross it in that little corridor of uncertainty on that 6-yard line? Am I going to stand it up to the back post? Am I going to pull it back? There's only so many options. Make your decision and do it.
24, Tyrick Mitchell feels like he's been around for a heck of a long time. Mainu slides in firm but fair on Mitchell, Crystal Palace's number 3. Mainu actually came off worse after that, but he's quickly to his feet, and Manchester United quick to get back on the ball with Eriksson. He is on the edge of his own penalty area. The more you think about it, really, the defending from Manchester United for the only goal so far was just inexplicable, Danny.
It was a little bit bizarre, yeah. But that's the type of goal you see in training a lot.
Dalot with his back to goal. Lays the ball out to the right, Anthony. Now Højlund, midway inside the Crystal Palace half. It was Wharton tracking back, sliding in with one of those long legs of the former Blackburn man to steal possession from under the feet of Højlund. And then Dalot has won a throw off Eze right in between the two dugouts on this near side, main stand side. Oliver Glasner and Erik ten Hag to the edge of their technical areas at the moment. Glasner with his arms folded, looks at a very demanding character, but he's already won the respect and admiration of the Crystal Palace fans. The former Europa League winner when he was Frankfurt manager in 2022. They beat West Ham and Rangers in the final, you might remember. And a cushion header by Richards, very calm, the American, into the gloves of Henderson, and certainly they seem to have protected Henderson very well so far.
Yeah, done well. Here we go again.
So what's happening here, Danny?
Ten Hag's telling them to push on, go man for man. Now you can see at the top end on the left of the pitch there's a 4v4 because Dalot's come high. Now it's a 6v6 and a 4v4.
And again Crystal Palace go long in response. This time Evans has beaten Mateta in the air. Fascinating to watch tactically.
Yeah, well I think it's worth the risk for Ten Hag. I actually think if you are Palace and they commit man for man to press, I'd go long every time, because you've got Mateta up there and you've got pace around him. You're winning the game. You don't need to risk trying to play through a man-v-man scenario, similar to Tottenham at the weekend when Liverpool were pressing them so high. Tottenham didn't trying to play through a heavy press, and actually Liverpool were leaving man for man at the back and they didn't play one long ball. Palace are doing the right thing.
They are going long more often than not.
Well, they're mixing it up, and that's what football is, varying your tactics to confuse the opposition. If it carries on like this, it'll be really open.
And so far, it's an approach that's paid off for Crystal Palace.
Yep.
Here is Anderson, about 15 yards shy of the halfway line, and a square ball to the left-sided centre-half Richards, quickly on to Hughes. And Hughes back to the feet of the goalkeeper. His contract is up in June. Actually, Will Hughes. Eze is offside yet. Up goes that yellow flag on the far side of the field. And
lazy, that. It's lazy. Hate seeing it from forwards. You know that when the keeper's kicking it, just time your run, drop in 2 yards. You don't have to be there first. As long as you're turning them round, you're putting pressure on.
And he's probably more than 2 yards off, isn't he, there, Eze?
It's just lazy.
In that position. They didn't have him for the draw at Fulham at the weekend when Jeff Schlupp scored a brilliant equaliser to make it 1-1 for Crystal Palace. And that's continued their good recent run of form, which is on the march again tonight. Mateta, left of centre. He's got beyond Johnny Evans like he's not there. Mateta surges through! Oh! What an incredible finish! Jean-Philippe Mateta could do no wrong! He is red hot for Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner. It's his 9th Premier League goal under the new manager. The acceleration, the weaving feet of Mateta, darted beyond Evans, left him for dead. You thought the angle was tight, but my, what a finish! Rifled beyond Andre Onana. An explosive strike from Mateta to make it Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 0.
Well, I'm a big fan of Mateta and I'm all for positivity and eulogising about good play, but Johnny Evans' tackle was horrendous, and the goalkeeper, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, Evans sticks a leg out. That's unbelievably bad defending. Well, I don't know where the keeper, what is the keeper thinking? His position's wrong, his angle's wrong. He smashes it, yeah, but he smashes it in on a near post from an angle that really, I mean, the keeper's too far out and too left. Bizarre defending from Evans. I mean, sticking it. Come on. Yeah, it's a decent strike, but it can't go in there. And Evans has got to do better. He's an experienced player. You can't just dangle a leg.
Against one of the most informed players, Danny, in the Premier League in terms of goals.
Look, I know the quality Johnny Evans has had in his career. I'm very aware of it. But that is that's not acceptable. You can't just stick your leg out like that. You've got to defend properly. half turn, match the run, try and compete with him, show him one way onto 1 foot. If you don't get there, fine, but at least do the right things. And the keeper, I don't know where he is on that finish.
Manchester United's defence missing, and Crystal Palace have struck twice. Emphatically, Mateta, as Garnacho goes down, he's been fouled. Free kick to Manchester United, who now have big problems defensively again. They've now conceded 79 goals in all competitions this season, Manchester United, which is their most in any season since the late 70s, 77, 78, when they conceded 80 in all competitions. And they're 2-0 down to Crystal Palace here. 3 minutes of the first half remaining. They do have a free kick out on the left, a yard or two in field. Eriksen is going to play a sort of reverse right-footed ball high into the box, you'd think. Jubilant Crystal Palace. It just gets better and better for them at the moment. Eriksen is standing over this, and Evans is forward. Casemiro, the two errant centre-halves so far. Højlund lurking as well. Whipped in by Eriksen into the box. Up goes Casemiro with the header a couple of yards over the top, and still no effort on target for Manchester United.
Good ball in from Eriksen. He's really good at that, Casemiro, finding space and getting in on those set plays. He'd be a little bit disappointed. Didn't quite get connection. I think he maybe didn't quite see the replay there. I think it came off the back of his head, maybe, or the back of his shoulder.
So it's Michael Olise and Jean-Philippe Mateta with the Crystal Palace goals, and there are glum faces in the away section of Selhurst Park. For Mateta, we mentioned the 9 Premier League goals now that he scored under Oliver Glasner in just 11 matches. He only scored 6 under Patrick Vieira and only scored 5 under Roy Hodgson. So it's changed completely for Mateta.
Oh, it was really positive play from him, and he struck it well. I'm not being over, like, you've got to admire it, but the way he didn't have to do anything to go past Evans. It was a knock and run. It was, what you do in the school playground against inferior players. You've got to be on the half turns, defender, and say, come on, then I'll run with you. I'll show you how tight in the angle. The keeper's got to be ready, got to be in the right position. He's too far out, he's too far left. The gap in the near post is huge.
And you are right, Danny, it was just a dangled trailing leg from Evans and nothing more.
He was poor, and he might not be fit, to be fair to him. He might be just trying to get himself out there for the team, but can't play in the Premier League unless you're fit enough, because that's not defending.
Here is Evans on the ball now, 20 yards into the Crystal Palace half, and the pass forward is intercepted, and Olise is on the spin and the turn now up the right-hand side. He's got Munoz on the underlap, and he's beaten Johnny Evans to it. Evans is backpedaling, and Crystal Palace are on the attack again. Back it goes to Olise. He's on the corner of the area. Manchester United looks so vulnerable with particularly the pace of Olise and Munoz on the right-hand side running at them. Players of Crystal Palace, and Klein, as if to illustrate that, has got beyond Mainu. He's into the area. Nathaniel Klein, the former Liverpool man, but his cutback isn't a good one. Mason Mount got there first. He's then tripped. Manchester United free kick. They want to take it quickly. They won't be able to do that. They are 2-0 down with about 20 seconds to go in the first half. Normal time on TalkSport with Now. Don't forget, with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Palace against Man United live right now, contract free. With a Now membership, search Now Sports. And here in a moment we'll get the added time at the end of the first half. It's
Palace fans are going to think they're going to win every home game next season by 3 and 4 at this rate.
It'll be 3 in a row at home as it stands. And you're right, Danny, they've had some great home wins, haven't they?
Who was the other one? West Ham and
Newcastle.
Newcastle, that's right, of course it was.
2-0 and 5 against West Ham they scored. Oliver Glasner's first game was a 3-0 home win over Burnley.
And then the win at Liverpool, of course.
Yeah, which you'd have to say was the most impressive.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Really did dent Liverpool's title challenge that day. Onana quite casual as he rolls the ball to the right back position in Casemiro, forward towards Anthony. Anthony's little touch, lovely touch to find Dallo on the halfway line. Excellent tackle by Anderson, and the robustness of the Crystal Palace centre halves, all three of them quite in contrast to Manchester United so far.
Well, what I like about the three is they're very rarely stretched. They're always close to each other. The gaps are good, the communication's good, the line's good. Obviously a system the manager likes.
And it's working well so far.
It is.
Again, a minute through, 3 added, and they're 2-0 up Crystal Palace. Mount has possession for Manchester United, about 12 yards shy of the halfway line. He's worked it wide to Dalot, back to Casemiro, flights the ball up the inside right channel. The header away by Richards was a fairly simple one, and Eza's got the ball with his back to goal on the halfway line, trying to tear beyond Casemiro. A little dink above Anthony to the feet of Richards, and Crystal Palace fans in front of us, a couple of them on their feet. They're right in front of us in the main stand. They look to the referee and maybe feel that Eza's not getting enough protection from Jared Gillett, but
well, Eza was annoyed as well. He stopped waiting for the foul and he didn't get it. He should have carried on really, because he'd beaten him.
Advantage was on. There is just over a minute of added time to go in the first half here, live on Talk Sport. And the ball is with Johnny Evans, corner of the penalty area, and plays it back to Onana from the edge of his own penalty area, thumps the ball downfield, and it's an easy header that for Richards. He's always going to beat the diminutive Anthony.
Oh, well, where has Dalot gone?
Scoop forward by Mitchell. Eza in lots of space, and he's whipped it across the 6-yard box, nowhere near Michael Olise. You have to say, Danny Murphy, with a little bit more care and attention, Crystal Palace could have scored more than the two
game. Yeah, a little bit more care and quality, the game would be done. I understand, but he's trying to do the right thing, actually. The ball's on. He just didn't wrap his left foot around it enough, but it was the right idea. But Olise's had a couple of great chances where he's, outside the right foot rather than getting his foot through it. Yeah, the game could be done at 2-0. It's never done. We know that. But they are creating chances. They're creating overloads in wide areas.
And Manchester United have shown little in response, even in attack.
Yeah, I thought they'd be better. I thought there'd be more of a fight.
Garnacho left wing position. It's good news this for Chelsea and Newcastle in the race for 6th spot in the Premier League. The ball is with Evans, and the referee does blow the half-time whistle, and so far Crystal Palace's fine renaissance under Oliver Glasner continues. He marches down the touchline, the Austrian, and a standing ovation from the home supporters in all 4 stands of Selhurst Park. The noise almost deafening here, but for Manchester United, a dreadfully soft centre in that first half, even with the injury issues. 10 plus senior players out tonight, no Bruno Fernandes and no Harry Maguire, but inexplicably poor defending through the middle, twice allowing Crystal Palace the opportunity to score goals, and twice they did. Michael Olise with the first, unchallenged as the Manchester United backline seemed to part away from him, and then Jean-Philippe Mateta late in the first half with a thumping strike beyond Andre Onana at his near post. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 0. Well, I'm not a Cohen advocate either, as Manchester United start the second half playing from right to left, all in white, towards that White Horse Lane end of the stadium, where some Crystal Palace fans are still finding their seats again, and Crystal Palace in blue and red with the blue shorts and blue socks playing from left to right here at Selhurst Park, towards the traditional home end, the Holmesdale Road end of the stadium, as Klein hoists the ball downfield straight away. A cushion header from Johnny Evans to Wan-Bissaka, whose clearance is awkward and clumsy and high into the centre circle, and the dominant presence of Mateta there to win it back for Crystal Palace. Though they then lose the ball on the halfway line, and Mainu finds Wan-Bissaka, who is fouled. No changes at half-time for either team, so Palace, Henderson in goal, Klein, Anderson and Richards, Munoz, Wharton, Hughes and Mitchell, Olise, Mateta and Eze. And for Manchester United, Onana in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Evans and Dalot, with Mainu sitting in front of the back 4. Ericsson and Mount further forward than he is, Højlund the striker, and Anthony and Garnacho in the wing positions. Erik ten Hag standing on the edge of his technical area, hands in pockets as Garnacho darts infield from the left to a central position and plays it back up wide to Wan-Bissaka, and now here's Mainu 5 yards into the Crystal Palace half. Whatever the talk at half-time, Danny, and they certainly wear out early Manchester United, there has to be a response, there has to be an improvement in performance in this second half.
Well, they had 1 10-minute spell, didn't they, in that first half, maybe 15 at the most, where they had some couple of little passages of play and nearly got in. But that was it. I mean, I think he's a dead man walking. Ten Hag. I'd have put a couple of the kids on. I'd have taken a couple of the big names off, put a couple of the kids off, and a couple of the kids on, and just made a statement. show me some energy, show me some passion, show me something.
Almost like he's got nothing to lose now,
Exactly.
Ten Hag, with all of the uncertainty over his future. The ball is back on the halfway line with Anderson and Crystal Palace. Nothing uncertain about the future of Oliver Glasner, who has had an excellent start since taking charge, as Elise, the sprightly Elise, wins a throw on the near side, the right. They're in no great hurry to take it, Crystal Palace. They lead 2-0, 2.5 minutes into the second half, and yes, it is a very youthful Manchester United bench. The two goalkeepers, Heaton and Altay, with Amrabat and Ahmad and Kambwala really the other senior players, if you like. And then you've got Toby Collier, age 20, and then the teenagers, Amas, Wheatley, Jackson and Oguneye. And for Crystal Palace, Matthews the goalkeeper, Hamada, Edouard, Riedewald, Raksaki, Ward, Gehi, Ayew and Schlupp.
Why would you have two goalkeepers on the bench?
Well, again,
You've got a wonderful academy. Okay, you've got injuries, but you've got lots of really talented young players who would benefit from the experience of it, and you put two keepers on the bench.
well, I wonder, is that Ten Hag maybe making a statement? Because he has
but if
said
it
this
is,
week.
that's tedious, that's silly. I mean, why would you deprive a young player of the opportunity of being on the bench for this wonderful club by putting a second keeper on there to prove a point?
And you
I've
are
seen it.
right.
He's not the only one, by the way. I've seen managers do it before. But why would you do that?
Well, you are also right that it's the Manchester United Academy, which is one of the greats in the history of the game. Anyway, 2-0 down, and Munoz will take a throw for Crystal Palace on the near side, the right. Quickly forward towards Mateta, very close to our Coventry position. We're midway inside the half that Palace are attacking, back of the main stand, and there's a throw to Crystal Palace now by the corner flag, and they're relatively comfortable. No great uplift in intensity, albeit very early in the second half, from the visitors, Manchester United, who are heading for 1 win in 7 in the Premier League. It would be now. Eze, edge of the penalty area with a better pass, might have found a teammate in a dangerous position. It wasn't a good one. Mount sends the ball skywards up into the dark skies ahead, and then Richards is there with the simplest of back headers to the untested as yet goalkeeper Dean Henderson.
He's done well, Richards, since he's got in the team.
Yeah.
And they've played this new system. He's really looked comfortable.
He's working well on the left of the back three. And it's a raking ball up to the near side, the right now, and Munoz has got Klein on the overlap, Klein in support, whips in the cross, Eze turns it goalwards and didn't really seem to strike it with any power, gathered by Onana.
Well, there's another overload. 2v1 on the right hand side. Good ball in. As a man of his quality, he'd be disappointed with that finish. Miss it a little bit, straight into the hands of Onana.
Ball literally bounced right on the penalty spot, right in front of him near enough.
Yeah.
And he tried to wrap his foot around it and couldn't get any power behind the shot. Now Garnacho wriggling infield from the near side left touch line. Despite the Crystal Palace fans' appeals, it hadn't gone out of play. Garnacho square now to Eriksson, and the Dane plays it back to Casemiro, the captain tonight. No Bruno Fernandes, out injured for the first time in his Manchester United career. He misses a game through injury. Dalot, corner of the penalty area now. Anthony in support. Anthony, left-footed efforts, and it's gathered by Henderson, and Manchester United have finally had an effort on target 51 minutes in.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen Anthony tonight. All evening, to be fair.
1 Premier League goal this season, 1 assist in the Premier League for Anthony. Here is Anderson for Crystal Palace, right-hand edge of his own penalty area. Champions League football to come on the network tomorrow and Wednesday night. Aston Villa in the semi-final of the Europa Conference League, the second leg away at Olympiacos, 4-2 down after the first leg on TalkSport. Saturday lunchtime, Fulham against Manchester City. City with a chance to go top, and then at 3 o'clock on 2 will bring you Burnley away at Tottenham. Burnley, who could be relegated this weekend. You're best to download the TalkSport app to keep across all of our live football. Dallow's ball for Manchester United, up the right wing towards Anthony in front of the away supporters. He's one-on-one with Richards. Anthony shapes to dart infield. Mitchell was back tracking and sent Anthony to the ground from behind. It's an obvious free kick.
Yeah, it was poor from Mitchell because he didn't have what he did is he got himself lost in the fact that he went to press Dalot, even though it was too late. He just played a simple ball down the side, which meant the centre half had to come out. He tried to get back in, but he's wrong side. It does take adaptation from if you've been a fullback for a long time and then you play wing back.
Yep.
When to go, when to drop, all those things that Aid and I talked about earlier. I mean, they've made a few mistakes, to be fair to them, but that was one.
And Eriksson is standing over it, about 5 yards from the corner of the penalty area, close to where the Manchester United fans are. It's on the far side, the Arthur Waite side of Selhurst Park, a ground of great tradition and character. Plenty forward in the white change kit of Manchester United. 2-0 down. Eriksen's right-footed delivery, headed off the post. Casemiro tucks in the rebound, but the flag has gone up straight away on the far side in front of the Manchester United fans. He ghosted in just like Danny Murphy alluded to in the first half. Casemiro, header off the post, but he was in an offside position.
He's brilliant at it, you know. I mean, he's way offside, but he's really good at finding space generally in those offset plays. It's a little warning for Palace. They've had a couple. They kept the line well. He's offside. He's comfortably offside, so Palace will be comfortable with it, but still needs picking up.
Yeah, there's clear daylight, isn't there, between Casemiro and the last Palace defender. And so 2 goals disallowed on the night for Manchester United, both correctly. And Casemiro in the first half as well. Mateta fouled right in front of Oliver Glasner, and he almost ends up rolling at the feet of Erik ten Hag there, Mateta. Steve McLaren is out of the Manchester United dugout to protest, but it's not going to change the decision, and McLaren is, well, he's smiling now as he speaks to the fourth official. It is a Crystal Palace free kick on this slick playing surface. Had a bit of rain today in London. 2-0 up the home team. No trouble in the second half really for Crystal Palace as yet. That brief little warning that disallowed Casemiro goal.
Yeah, they've started doing it a little bit better, Man U. Still no threat, but they've started a little bit better. A bit more on the front foot.
Antony just inside opposition territory, robbed of possession by the very industrious Hughes. Maybe he'll do enough to get a new contract in the summer, who knows. Without Cheick Doucouré, remember, Crystal Palace, and Jefferson Lerma as well, 2 key midfield players, although Lerma's been playing at centre half of late, and they might win it back high up the pitch here. Good sliding tackle by Dalot to roll it back to Casemiro, who then finds Onana right in front of that big stand behind the goal, the Holmesdale Road end, as Wan-Bissaka in the left back position against his old club wins a throw in the left back position. And of course, such are Manchester United's problems. Danny and I have alluded to it, and we spoke about it before the game as well with Adrian. There just isn't really the ammunition on the bench to change the game, you wouldn't think.
Well, sometimes with young players you don't know till you put them in. If you look at Liverpool this season, there was times where the players were going on the pitch, nobody knew who they were, and they certainly did by the time they'd come off the pitch.
And players like Jayden Danns that we saw in the FA Cup and the League Cup final, given away by Klein, crossfield, intercepted by Antony in the centre circle. Antony trying to go up through the gears. He's played it on towards Hoyland, the pass behind Hoyland. Garnacho looks really frustrated as well because he was also in space. Antony couldn't find either of them. What a bit of word exchange there from Antony as well.
He's had a few with Hoyland, keeps blaming everybody else for his bad passing.
Elise darts infield from the right, looking dangerous, plays it towards the left, and there's space, acres of space on the left, the far side for Mitchell. The initial pass didn't reach him, but he eventually has time to play it back to Eza, who gets it back. Eza steers it wide. Glorious flick from Michael Elise into the path of Eberechi Eza. When those two combine, they are one of the deadliest duos in the Premier League. And Eza tried to curl it beyond Onana, not too close in the end to finding the far post. Stays 2-0.
Beautiful football. Should have done better really. It's not a difficult chance. I mean, the give and go. I mean, Eriksen's got to do more. Give and go is you've just got to make a block or stay with your runner. It's so easy to play against this Man United side. Casemiro diving in on Elise as well, but Eriksen he just turned and walked. Brilliant little interplay though from 2 wonderfully gifted players.
And here they come again. It's Elise with the dancing feet, nudges it square to Eza on the edge of the area. Mitchell is the man over on the left, and Onana turns it behind. I think it ricocheted off his chest. Dalot screaming for support. He's not getting it. Antony's having another sulk in the 18-yard box, and it's a corner to Crystal Palace, who lead 2-0 and look the more likely to score again. Danny Murphy.
I thought it was a great move again. Another overload. Talked about the wing backs at half time. That's the decision making when you get in there. He's got to pull that across the goal. He's got to square that. It's too tight an angle. And Onana this time in the right position. Good save. But he's got to fire that across the goal. You've just got to make better decisions when you get overloads like that.
Talk Sport, corner to Crystal Palace, whipped in by Elise, left-footed, Richards climbing, headed away, it'll drop out to Hughes on the half volley, and Onana makes a diving save to his left. Thought that he might have held it initially there, the goalkeeper. It did come through a crowd as Will Hughes sought a very rare goal, and it's another corner to Crystal Palace.
He did well, Hughes, waited for it, he couldn't take it, so he had to wait for it, and then did the old paintbrush, the old dipping volley.
Yes, it's a nice picture, that, actually. You're absolutely right. A little swish from Will Hughes. Corner's taken short by Elise, who gets it back. Madam Wharton. Elise crosses, dead ball line cut out of the near post by Hoyland. It'll come back to Wharton, who measures that cross beautifully to the back post. Mitchell makes it 3. The flag stays down, and Manchester United are falling to pieces at Selhurst Park. Tyring Mitchell, one of their own, is there to score for Crystal Palace, and they now lead Manchester United by 3 goals to 0.
Well, how many times have we talked about the wing-backs being free to come in? I mean, it's all from a corner, 2v1 on the corner. Lise gets the ball in the box, half clearance from United. Wharton puts a super ball back in. I think it's Anderson on the back post. Does really well, nice and strong. Anderson on the back post against Dalot, just gets there first. And there's so many players in there, could have fell to any of them. And Mitchell's in there.
Mitchell there to rifle it beyond Onana.
Yeah, it's actually a set play, it's not an overload from a wing-back.
Now, is there a problem here for Dalot and Onana, who's in conversation with the referee? I wonder, are they checking the goal here, Danny, because the referee is still standing inside the 18-yard box.
Well,
Dalot's receiving some treatment. It is 3-0 as far as we know.
They check every goal, don't they?
Amrabat's going to come on for Manchester United. This is such a pale imitation of the great Manchester United teams of the past, even with the injury issues, and you have to mention that in the context of what Erik ten Hag's had to deal with. But this is, I mean, you played against a lot of great Manchester United sides, Danny. This is absolutely nothing like it.
No, but it's, you know what, I know there's a lot of injuries, and there's too many times this season we've seen United cut open. He's bringing Anthony off. Do you know what, I praise Ten Hag for that. His attitude, moaning at everybody else when he hits a bad pass, not running back, whinging because someone moves when he passes it. Well done, Ten Hag, well done. I'm all for that. You can lose and you can play badly, but you don't whinge at your own players and throw your arms in the air. You keep doing the job and you keep fighting. And Anthony constantly throwing his arms in the air and moaning at people. Good decision. On a more positive note, Palace fans are in heaven.
I was going to say, listen to Selhurst. It'll be 4 unbeaten in the Premier League for Crystal Palace. Surely at 3-0. No way back for Manchester United, even with half an hour to go. Amrabat has come on for Anthony here. And now they've put Garnacho on the right, haven't they, Danny, and Mount on the left. And Dalot is temporarily off injured. He'll come back on now. 3-0 down. They've now conceded 80 goals in all competitions for the season, Manchester United.
Palace shape's really good without the ball. Really like it. Compact. Distances between players is good. They move up together, they drop together. They've got good legs in the team. It's working well for them. I know they're not up against United's strong team tonight, but even in recent weeks we've seen it against West Ham, Newcastle, Liverpool. Really nice unit. He's implemented his style really quickly.
He certainly has.
It isn't easy to do. It really isn't easy to do.
Not in the middle of a Premier League season where they looked in trouble at
real
one
trouble,
point.
Yeah, real trouble.
Here's Garnacho raiding down the right for Manchester United. You have to feel for the travelling fans. Back it goes to Main, who dinks in the cross over the head of both Mount and Hoyland, and out of play harmlessly in the end for a goal kick. 03717 223344 to speak to Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundick once we're done here tonight on Talk Sport, and tomorrow morning more reaction with Jeff Stenning and Annie McCoist on Talk Sport Breakfast from 6 o'clock. Erik ten Hag to the edge of his technical area again. Must
Fair
not be
play
able
to the Man
comprehend
U
it.
fans.
Yeah,
They're all there. They're not gone.
absolutely not. Mount has turned away down the left, plays an early ball in towards Højlund, it spins off his left boot, it'll fall to Garnacho, couldn't quite get it under control, it was a difficult ball to bring out of the air, and now he's had to spin away from the edge of the penalty area, back towards the back of the box by Casemiro towards Eriksen, and Dalot in the right wing position is able to win Manchester United their second corner. They're 3-0 down. And so here, perhaps an opportunity to threaten for Manchester United. They have rarely threatened in the game, certainly seriously. Casemiro is the potential target again. Evans and Højlund and Dalot and Mainoo are also in there, whipped in by Eriksen towards the near post. Casemiro! Flying header tipped away by Henderson. Good stop against his old club, and Casemiro was onside that time. And Crystal Palace can't quite get it clear. Garnacho's in the box, a weaving run, left-footed effort that's blocked from the edge of the penalty area. Sea of red and blue shirts in front of Garnacho.
Oh dear.
Eze dancing forward from a very tight area. He's dribbled infield from the left, he's got past three, and he's played a beauty of a ball to Elise down the left-hand side. Mateta in the middle, Munoz at the far post, cleared away by Amrabat, and Eberechi Eze continues to toy with Manchester United, although some of those challenges were quite half-hearted, it felt like to me, as Wan-Bissaka scampers forward towards the halfway line, and now here's Højlund back to goal just inside the Crystal Palace half. 3-0 Palace lead, 63 minutes gone. Here's Danny Murphy.
Just a pleasure to watch, isn't it, at times? I mean, the last thing you want to do, I don't know why Casemiro keeps trying to dive in on him, because he just spins you. It gets frustrating, I suppose, and you just want to give him a whack, but the way he glides with the ball and his pace and his strength, he's beautifully balanced footballer. And the pass was lovely as well. He really is a star in the making. I know he's a bit late in terms of his development than others, but he's ready now, ready for the big time.
Still only 25, plenty of time to go. And what is a very exciting career. Just hope he can stay fit from Crystal Palace's perspective. Good ball, Mainoo out to the right. Garnacho forward to Dalot in the area. Dead ball line, chips in the cross. It'll drop to Højlund at the back post. He can't quite knot it down. He was sandwiched in between two Crystal Palace defenders, Munoz and Klein. And Munoz comes away with the ball. That's a poor clearance upfield.
Very poor.
Maybe just slightly dropped their level since scoring the third, Crystal Palace here. There's been a little bit of a reaction too from Manchester United.
Yeah, I think unfortunately in football, when you go 3 up, instinct is to protect what you've got.
Yeah.
And not enhance. You know, you have that little bit right, we've got the game won, we just can take you, just drop off and let them have it a little bit. You've got to be careful with that mentality.
Chested down by Højlund to Kobbie Mainoo. Højlund surely shoved over there by Anderson. Looked like it was just inside the penalty area. Erik ten Hag appeals, arms outstretched, he can't believe it, nothing's been given. Crystal Palace have the ball back. It did look like there was contact with Højlund there. Not sure what you thought of it, Danny. We might get to see it again on our little monitors.
Well, his reaction suggests he feels like he was pushed. Sure, they'll have a look at it. It's a great ball actually from Casemiro. To be honest, it's outside the bottom. I think Mainoo was offside anyway.
Mainoo back to Højlund. You're right, it was a yard outside the area. Anderson on Højlund. And nothing given, and I'm sure they'll have seen the little clip that we've seen on our...
They can't give it anyway,
television.
even if they think it's a foul. They can't give it outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. And so Manchester United's and Selhurst's woes tonight go on, and they haven't had a particularly good time of it in London generally of late. You remember the 4-3 defeat to Chelsea as one example of that.
I'll tell you what, I mean, if they have this 11 fit against Arsenal, I worry for them.
Mateta has jinked it beyond Casemiro, not quite enough though. Casemiro has then lost out to Munoz on his own dead ball line. Munoz back to Elise to Carwell! It just gets better and better and better for Crystal Palace! Michael Elise, wonderful left foot! He loves scoring against Manchester United. He's picked out the top corner. This is sheer joy and delight for Crystal Palace, but for Manchester United, surely a low point in what is turning into a dreadful, dreadful season for Erik ten Hag and co. Ten Hag stands watching. He can do nothing as his team simply fall to pieces. But for Michael Elise, it's another stunner to add to his collection, and it's Crystal Palace 4, Manchester United 0. Wow!
Well, Muniz does really well. He robs Casemiro. I mean, Casemiro does all right here. He's trying to just get it into the corner. He gets robbed. But when it comes to Elise on the edge of the box, I mean, that is some finish. He's on the inside right position, and he whips it into the top right-hand corner, so kind of gives him the eyes a little bit. Beautiful finish, although it's quite central. Keeper might be a little bit disappointed, but he put it in with some power. That is a confident young man.
Well, the game is surely won. No question now. Off goes Mateta, on comes Odsonne Edouard, and Will Hughes leaving the field as well. Another good display from Will Hughes in the absence of both Lerma and Decore and Jairo Riedewald, who's been at the club for a long time, since 2017. The young Dutchman is onto the pitch as well. I say young, he's 27, which in footballing terms isn't crazy young. Anyway,
I saw Will Hughes a couple of minutes ago telling the manager he's got a problem with his calf. So.
Right.
But Mateta, he's probably wants him fit for the last couple of games. Mateta's probably going to be a bit disappointed. Probably fancying there's a goal or two out there.
Oh, Evans has nearly given it away here. It's cleared away by Casemiro. The defensive shambles continues for Manchester United. It's 4-0 to Crystal Palace, and they're going in search of more as Amrabat catches Elise with a poor sliding challenge right in front of the assistant referee. He flagged immediately. Here comes the card. It's yellow. Oh, they could score more, Crystal Palace, the way the game is going.
Do you know what? I don't mind that from Amrabat. I'd have taken that yellow all day, every day. Can't have players taking the mickey, you know, like you want to just put your foot in, let them know you're there. He's just come on the pitch. Why not? Yeah. I'm all for that.
They don't just like it, they love it at the moment, Crystal Palace.
They can't believe what's going on. They've gone up to Anfield, got 3 points. They give Newcastle a good beating. Hammered West Ham.
And a yellow card for Glasner.
Yeah, he come running out of his box, didn't he? Needs to get back in his box.
Well, Steve McLaren is actually in the Palace technical area too, and he's being sent back to the dugout by the fourth official. There have been some capitulations for Manchester United under Ten Hag. You might remember very early on that 4-0 defeat at Brentford. Of course, the infamous Liverpool defeat at Anfield last season as well. Conceded plenty against Manchester City. 4-0 down to Crystal Palace with just over 20 minutes to go. Elise will deliver from the near side, the right. He's played it square towards the edge of the D, and it's hit first time by Eze. Closed down, brought brilliantly by Amrabat, who'll hair forward towards halfway. No way he can reach his own deflection. Shepherded back to goalkeeper Henderson by Klein. Henderson's ball out to the near side, the right, and Elise. This can't be the same Crystal Palace team we saw earlier this season, surely, although in mitigation to Roy Hodgson, they didn't have a lot of the players available.
Well, they didn't have Eze and Elise. They've only played together, half a dozen, 7 times now, something maybe a bit late.
And there's another foul on the far side of the field this time. Diogo Dalot, free kick to Crystal Palace, who lead 4-0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Now then, that free kick will be taken on the far side, the left. It's got to be one of their great nights in the Premier League, this, for Crystal Palace.
Well, they've had some great days. I remember they've won a couple of times up at City, haven't they? But yeah, in terms of feel good here, the atmosphere, the beating a giant like Manchester United so comfortably, and the style in which you do it, of course. Great play, creativity, dribbling, great goals.
Elise on a hat-trick. He's got the ball on the near side and he set up Munoz. He tried a little impudent flick in field. That was intercepted quite easily actually by Mount. And Manchester United will be left trailing in the race for European football, and of course there is a route into Europe through the FA Cup, but I don't think many would back them to beat Manchester City at Wembley on this evidence, to say the least.
No, but you never know in a cup final. One poor decision from a Man City player, or they're down to 10, or United get a couple back and they score an early goal and hang on for dear life. But they're going to be under the cosh against City, that's for sure.
Ten Hag has gone back to the dugouts now. Casemiro, a streak of mud on the back of his white shirt. Been run ragged defensively, Casemiro. Not his position, of course.
No.
But it's a collective for Manchester
Absolutely,
United.
absolutely, and tactical as well. I mean, yes, players have got to take some responsibility, but they are tactically all over the place.
Always there's one-on-one with Casemiro here. That could spell danger infield to Edouard. Edouard trying to spin and turn. He's holding back Amrabat there. That's got to be a Manchester United free kick. It is. Edouard with his back to goal, but they are hungry for more. Crystal Palace, they won't just stop at 4, you feel.
Well, they're enjoying themselves. And when you know the game's won, you can start taking more risks, flying forward, and everyone wants the ball.
Here's Dalot, just shy of halfway. The contrast between the two sets of supporters, and full credit to the Manchester United fans. Nobody's moved a muscle in that away section.
Maybe they're not allowed. Because I'd be gone.
Well, they do travel very loyally, those Manchester United fans.
Very loyal, yeah. Travelling the numbers everywhere.
There's Dalot on the halfway line for them. He's put it straight out of play.
I actually thought United, because they're fighting for their life, would be better. I thought they'd come with a plan. I thought they'd be, cautious, pragmatic, play on the break, especially with the problems they've got in defensive areas. You have to protect back players when they're not used to playing there and they don't have much pace. Thought he might just sit a little box, like a little two in front of them, keep the fullbacks narrow, play on the counter with the pace they've got in Garnacho and Anthony, but they've been absolutely wide open all over the place.
Here is Mainu jinking away on the right from Mitchell, but blocked off by the retreating Edouard, who's had a good goal scoring season by his Crystal Palace standards so far. Dalot plays it back to Casemiro, and Manchester United have the ball, and for once in the second half Selhurst is subdued. But if you're just joining us on TalkSport, it's 4-0 to Crystal Palace, and now Adam Wharton in the centre circle. He's giving it away to Wan-Bissaka. Sorry, Danny.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I have to compliment Mr. Durham. He did predict.
What did he say before the game?
He did predict a strong Palace victory,
and he's been absolutely right.
He has.
I don't think he heard you say that, actually.
Well, I'm glad. I don't want him to hear compliments.
Hands on again. Here is Mainu on the edge of the penalty area. Wide left for Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka's cross is blocked off by Munoz, who we've mentioned a couple of times today has had another energetic display. And that's a good touch by Edouard back to Wharton, who at the age of 20 is controlling this game against Manchester United.
He's been outstanding again. Really impressed with him. I mean, he looks a snip, doesn't he, at 20 mil. Is that what I think he was 20?
Yes, that's it. 22, near enough. Formerly of Blackburn Rovers, and actually Blackburn last season was his breakthrough season in the first team, so not really had 2 seasons in senior football.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
Richards coming out of defence for Crystal Palace. Acres of space as ever for Mitchell, surging down the far side, the left. He's got Ezra in front of him, and he plays it forward to Ezra, who slows the game down almost to walking pace. 15 minutes to go. Crystal Palace 4, Manchester United 0 on TalkSport with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Palace against Man United live right now. Contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports. Danny.
I mean, now's the time for Ten Hag. Put some of the kids on. Get them on there and say, show me something. Come on. Show me some energy, some fight. Eriksen's legs are gone.
Eriksen has not played a lot of football over from the start, at least anyway.
No, I don't mean legs are gone forever, but I mean are gone as in tonight. He can't get about. He hasn't played much football. Evans is struggling. Get some of the young lads on.
Evans has struggled desperately, and you do wonder whether he was fully fit coming back from a knee injury, maybe rushed back.
Well, the biggest compliment I can pay him is that, knowing him, the way he's conducted himself and the type of lad he is that if he wasn't 100%, he'd still say he was, because he knows the team needs him, and that's credit to him. He's out there trying to help the younger lads, and that's the type of lad he is. And he's had a good season in many respects, because nobody thought he'd play that much, and he's done well when he's played, so he deserves credit for that. But tonight, he's been isolated too often. He's been outrun and outthought, as does Casemiro, who's tried. He's not a centre-half, is he? We know that, and he's lacking a bit of pace, so they've had all sorts of problems.
Elise with a free kick for Crystal Palace, high looping into the box. Anderson at the back post, scored at Old Trafford earlier in the season. He'll keep it in by the corner flag. Got to mention how good Palace have been. Anderson's reverse ball into the box is straight into the chest of Onana, who was beaten by that absolute perler from Elise, left-footed beyond the goalkeeper. Elise, who scored a similar goal from a free kick into that very top corner. As we look at it, the right-hand top corner against Manchester United last season, and he's made it 4-0, and Mark Gehi is going to come on for Crystal Palace in a moment, as if the evening could get any better for Crystal Palace fans. And suddenly there are 2 balls on the pitch as Manchester United want to take a throw, and the game will be slowed down, and maybe they'll get Gehi on now. They will.
Do you know what? It makes you think, doesn't it? When Gehi's fit and when you've got Lerma, Doucouré to choose from with Wharton in the middle of the park, now all of a sudden it starts to look like a hell of a good side.
Like a top 10 team maybe next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Oliver Glasner applauds, and so do the Crystal Palace fans. It's Nathaniel Clyne going off, and good to see Nathaniel Clyne playing regular football this season. Had a horrible time of it with injury over recent years.
It's a great story, and in the last few weeks I've seen Palace play, he's been absolutely terrific. He's shown his experience, he still looks fit, he's got a turn of pace still, you know, and he's another one who's great to have around because he's been there. That balance, you know, we talk about squads in the Premier League, Chelsea's a big topic of conversation, but this Palace side's got a lovely balance to it.
Former Liverpool man comes off and Mark Gehi comes on. 4-0 to Crystal Palace against Manchester United, yes. 4-0. Crewe 0, Doncaster 2 earlier in the League 2 playoffs, and Crawley against MK Dons was postponed. They'll try and do that again tomorrow live on the TalkSport app. We've got playoff action on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Sunday. High ball for Manchester United up into the Crystal Palace penalty area. Hooked away by Mitchell, high downfield. The cushion headed by Edouard, who'll get the return ball, will he hear from Eze? Edouard will now take on Casemiro and Amrabat. Casemiro stands up well, slides in, and Amrabat has given Manchester United a little bit of bite finally in the game since coming on, and between them they win it back.
He has come on and had a go, hasn't he? Put himself about, that's what you've got to do.
Here is Dalot, who I think had his wrist strapped up maybe after that 4th goal, it looks like. Amrabat, the number 4, out to the right, and Garnacho plays it back to Casemiro. Amrabat inside the centre circle, and Evans square.
United have persisted with Dalot going into that midfield role for many games. Actually, I've seen them play where he's a fullback going in there, but he doesn't really look comfortable in there. I like Dalot as a fullback. I think he's terrific, been one of United's best players, but going into that midfield there, there's no point.
And now Elise is racing forward. He's laid it wide to Munoz in acres of space, back towards Elise, who rather stepped over the ball, I think expecting Eze to be behind him. He wasn't there. Elise on a hat-trick for Crystal Palace tonight. Will there be another final flourish with just over 10 minutes to go, and maybe a couple of the youngsters will take to the field now for Manchester United, because there's going to be a double change for them as the ball goes up on the near side. Ahmad, who scored that famous FA Cup goal against Liverpool, replaces Mount, who can't really remember Mount touching the ball in a significant area in the second half. And Ethan Wheatley, the academy graduate who has made one senior appearance for the first team, the 18-year-old striker, will play up front in place of Højlund now for the final few minutes. All too little, too late, of course, for Manchester United. 4-0 down, 10 to go, live on TalkSport. The Sports Bar follows us with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. 03717 223344. Manchester United fans, I'm sure you want to have your say. And Crystal Palace fans, what a performance tonight from Crystal Palace, and what great work that continues to be done from Oliver Glasner. It'll be 18 points from 11 in the Premier League under him. And they can really look forward to, as Danny and I were saying, you think next season to, who knows, maybe a top 10 finish.
Well, it depends what players they can keep. That's the problem when you've got a team on the ascendancy like this.
Mitchell in the ascendancy on the left, but his pass infield not a good one. He's got a lucky ricochet. It's come back to him off Amrabat. Now Elise with the dancing feet again, onto Mitchell, dead ball line, hooks in a high cross, back post Munoz, brings it down and shoots, deflected behind for a corner to Crystal Palace as they seek a fit.
Good from Amrabat again, putting his body on the line.
Got him away well, didn't he, Amrabat there, trying to get about and make challenges in the middle of midfield. Holmesdale Road on its feet again, those Crystal Palace fans, every seat taken up all around the stadium as we look here. The corner between the main stand and the Holmesdale Road end, and it's Elise to take it. He can absolutely do no wrong. Elise has placed the ball down, and it'll be a left-footed in-swinging delivery. Anderson is there, he's at the back post, and Mark Gehi too. Elise high to the back post, Anderson going up, headed away well by Johnny Evans for Manchester United. Now Eze, 25 yards out, whips it in, Richards with the looping header, and it's gathered by Onana down by his near post. And Onana's tried to clear the ball straight away up towards Ahmad, but a dominant presence in the air. Mitchell easily there to win it back for Crystal Palace again. Now Anderson on the halfway line. Crystal Palace fans will be dancing with joy after this, and their home form, as we talked about in the first half, the 5 they scored against West Ham, 2 against Newcastle, 4 against Manchester United. Selhurst is becoming a very difficult place to go again.
Do you know what, when you're late in a game and you're 4-0 up, 3-0 up, 5-0 up, whatever it is, it's so much fun.
Because you know you got it done, right?
Well, you got it done, and you start everyone bopping it and keeping it and flicking it around corners, and you know, everything goes your way, every decision.
And they want more. It says they're darting up the middle. He's chipped it on, he's blocked off by Evans, and the slide tackle from Dalot helped out as well. Ez has gone down and stayed down. He's sitting up now by the edge of the D, slowly gets to his feet.
I think Dalot gave him a little whack.
Play continues with Crystal Palace in there, red and blue still on the ball from left to right. 4-0 up against Manchester United. Ladbrokes have the latest odds, and you can back the next goal scorer if you think Crystal Palace will score next. That's 23-10. United to score next, 19-5, or no goal at 11-8 on.
What price on 4-4?
That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Here is Munoz, right wing position near side. Plays it backwards now to Wharton. Wharton infield to Elise. Elise 5 yards from the corner of the box. He sprints away from Mainoo. Great feet moving forward into the area. He's blocked off by Evans just as he looked to reach the corner of the 6-yard box. Evans stood stoutly to block him off. And now Wan-Bissaka clears. Straight to Wharton with the clearance from Wan-Bissaka. Loop forward into the path of Elise. He's spun, he's turned, his shot is deflected up into the air. Could fall for Eze at the back post. Headed away by Dalot, and Crystal Palace continue to look the more likely to score as they look to add to their 4-0 lead with now 6 minutes of normal time to go. And Manchester United and Erik ten Hag are in the very unenviable position where they just can't wait for the final whistle now. Simple as that.
Exactly. There was a lovely bit in that last Palace attack where the ball got cleared by Manu and it came to Wharton, and you think he's going to head it, and he jumps up and cushions it into his stomach beautifully, into his chest I should say, and then just plays the pass again. It's like a calmness and awareness that he's got. Really like it.
Well, the 2 key men are coming off now.
No, don't do it.
I'm sorry, Danny.
Leave them.
I think they all believe that, the Crystal Palace fans. They're desperately sad to see them go off. Elise.
Are you not sad?
Yes. It's pure entertainment when they're both on. For Eze, and no goal today, but 2 for Michael Elise, and Eze very much involved. Jordan Ayew and Jeff Schlupp will now come onto the field, and the stats really do bear it out. They're a different team when they've got those 2 starting. When they're both not in the 11, effectively they're a 38-point-a-season team, Crystal Palace, but when Eze and Elise both start, statistics tell you they become a 61-point-a-season team. That's an incredible difference.
Yeah. They're both special talents. I mean, opening teams up and scoring goals is ultimately the hardest thing in football.
Yeah.
And they both do it effortlessly. You know, they both score goals, they both make goals, they both glide past people, they're quick. They're just 2 wonderfully gifted players.
And you're right, Crystal Palace's future almost, it feels like, depends on holding on to them.
I think the fans, if they kept one at least.
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic to think they're going to keep both.
It'll be a big summer as Riedewald collects possession for Crystal Palace on the halfway line, the Dutchman. Now Richards forward to Anderson. 4 minutes of normal time to go. And 4-0 to Crystal Palace, who are going to complete their first ever league double over Manchester United. Richards has spun away from Ethan Wheatley, who became the 250th academy graduate to play for Manchester United when he made his debut a week or so ago. And now Wharton midway inside his own half of the field. Richards 10 yards shy of the halfway line. Crystal Palace popping the ball about nicely. Oliver Glasner will want a clean sheet, I'm sure, but they look so capable of scoring more. Schlupp near side the right in the challenge with Evans, who flicks it out of play in front of the long serving Jeff Schlupp. Scored a great goal against Fulham.
Oh, did he?
Oh, stunner, wasn't it?
That was one of those that you want a career, those, when you hit them that hard.
Almost broke the net, didn't he?
Oh, it's beautiful.
And they've scored a couple of beauties tonight, Crystal Palace. Schlupp, little back heel to set up Munoz. The flag's up on the near side. Munoz thought he was in down the near side, the right. He's added a different dimension to the way that Crystal Palace play.
Yep. He's willing runner. Tenacious, off the board, knows his position.
Well, I wonder what Sir Jim Ratcliffe will make of all of this. Watching on, no doubt, as Erik ten Hag's team, they don't just labour, they have capitulated here. Amrabat not happy with the tackle on him by Edouard. Out comes the yellow card out of the pocket of the referee, Jared Gillett.
I always find it ironic when you've smashed someone yourself and you get a yellow, and then someone smashes you and you're saying to the ref, what's going on?
Yeah, it wasn't the best of challenges. In fact, right on the back of his kind of Achilles ankle area.
But take it.
Amrabat quickly back onto his feet. Manchester United free kick. Erik ten Hag, a lonely figure in the dugout. I suppose you have to feel for Erik ten Hag in some ways, but his departure from Manchester United will look ever more likely after a result like this, you'd have to say.
I only feel for him in the fact that, you know, he's been given a massive job, and he seems like a nice guy, and he struggled, and when people struggle, you can see it affects them emotionally, and he's not a bad guy. He's just struggling with the enormity of the job, and he's not yet up to this level. You can see that this season with the way the team's played and the tactical plans. He's going to leave Manchester United, probably get another job, and he'll be set for life with 10-15 million quid in his pocket. So I think we'll leave the violins in the suitcase.
Good turn by Wheatley just inside Crystal Palace territory, and he's looked to thread it to his right, and Ahmad, who couldn't get it under control. Good work by Crystal Palace off the ball, defending very diligently still. A minute of normal time to go. I wonder how much added time there will actually be here tonight, because the game is a foregone conclusion and has been for a while.
Well, I tell you what used to happen when we didn't have all this, everybody
to the second.
Yeah, you'd say to the ref, who normally had a bit of compassion, you're getting hammered 4 or 5, and you'd say, ref, how long? And he...
Well, they're being beaten 4 at the moment. It could get worse for Manchester United. Munoz's cross is diverted away by Evans as Schlupp looked to reach it, darting in.
Yeah, you'd say to the ref, how long? And he'd say 5 or 6, and you'd say, make it 2.
Edouard dances through the angle, tiny lays it square. Good interception by Wan-Bissaka against his old club. Otherwise Munoz would have had a tap it, and they'd have been begging for the final whistle even more, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first little chance they've had in a while. Good play, nice feet from Edouard. Wan-Bissaka doing his work, doing his defending.
Corner to Crystal Palace. Now then, I think it's Ayew who's going to take it on the far side, the right. There'll be 6 added minutes at the end of the game. 4-0 to Crystal Palace on Talk Sport. Ayew ready to swing this in, right-footed. Richards was there, cleared away by Dalot, scrambled inside the 6-yard box and hooked away by Casemiro up into the air. Only as far as Ayew is about 10 yards in field now, near the corner flag, and he's won another corner off the retreating, I think it was Kobbie Mainoo. Deflected it behind, and Erik ten Hag is out to scream instructions from the edge of the technical area again.
Too late for that.
Is it going to get worse for Manchester United here? It's Ayew again, the number 9, and again you'd back him to whip this in towards the 6-yard box. He does just that, but it's not a good delivery, headed away by Ahmad, who was the first man. Now Mitchell from the halfway line, always giving it straight to Ethan Wheatley. Wheatley now racing up the middle for Manchester United. He's blocked off by Mitchell. Probably should have played it earlier towards the run of Garnacho. Can't believe that he hasn't had the pass there. Well, inexperienced, isn't he, Wheatley?
Yeah, it was a difficult one, because I think he saw him and didn't play it because maybe he thought he'd run offside. I understood his dilemma.
And so Crystal Palace get the free kick, and now some in the main stand at Selhurst are heading for the exits. And Gehi with his A defensive partner, Mitchell, finding Gehi again inside the Manchester United half now. He's prodded it up the left wing position. Edouard has got beyond a dejected-looking Casemiro, and Edouard curls one. Hits the post from the edge of the penalty area. Casemiro bedraggled and beaten, and Onana beaten as well. And it was nearly 5.
He done him with the eyes. I thought he was going to the far corner.
And 2 of the 6 added minutes have been played, and Crystal Palace coming forward almost relentlessly in search of more goals. For once, Wharton ball out of play.
It's a great effort, wasn't it?
Edouard with the curler from the edge of the box, having dispossessed Casemiro. And you're right, instead of going far side, he went towards the near post.
Clever, really clever. Keeper's done. I understand why as well.
Caught off balance there, Andre Onana. 4-0 to Crystal Palace. And still the home fans chanting their approval, and Oliver Glasner wants even more from his team, right until the very end here, with the Sports Bar coming next, ready to take your calls on Talk Sport, so stay with us. We'll bring you all the reaction, and then breakfast tomorrow morning from 6 with Jeff Stelling and Annie McCoist in the chair. Here is Anderson, lip of the centre circle, halfway through the 6 added now. Munoz on halfway. You can hear the Manchester United fans on the far side as well, and that's great credit to them.
Absolutely.
Forward by Richards, poor pass out of defence, giving it straight to Wan-Bissaka. Mainu, nice feet to roll it wide to Garnacho. Garnacho scampers infield, half tackle by Munoz. Mainu to Garnacho. He's worked his way into the area. The angle is very much against him, and in the end, the sheer weight of numbers, I think, more than anything, helping out Crystal Palace to get it clear. As Wan-Bissaka trying to raid down the left, but he can only win a throw. No positives really for Ten Hag, nothing at all.
No, can't think of one. That's a testing question.
No further injuries.
That's clutching, isn't it?
It has been a very disappointing night for Manchester United.
There's no real positives from this tonight, really.
2 more minutes for them to endure.
I think he's got to think about next week, if he hasn't got anyone fit centre-halves wise, that they need protecting. Whoever it is, you've got to give them some protection.
Well, it's Arsenal on Sunday, and then Newcastle at Old Trafford, a trip to Brighton, and then the FA Cup final against Manchester City.
Well, that's 4 pretty good forward lines you've got to play against, isn't it?
Absolutely. They will be at 2 points adrift of 6th, as they were at the start of the evening. Now then, here come Crystal Palace, 4-0 up, 4.5 minutes into added time. 90 seconds remain. Great flick, Edouard. Ayew slipped, but he still gets the shot away. And it took a deflection. Fortunate there, Onana. He'd already committed himself, and the ball just spun into his gloves.
Mitchell was the pass. There was an overload. Ayew on the edge of the box. Late in the game, he thinks, I'll swing me left foot at it. Daisy cutter on it. Wasn't troubling anybody.
Here is Evans, edge of his own box. Square to Casemiro. Now Dalot is in the right back position. Feeds Eriksson. Eriksson's first time ball up the right hand touchline. Wheatley can't bring it under control under pressure from Wharton, who's, well, one of the first names on the team sheet. There's a bit of a queue for Crystal Palace at the moment for that.
He's been great. I haven't seen him have a bad game yet.
Well, I'll be intrigued to see, Danny, who you go for the Man of the Match award in a minute. 30 seconds left.
Well, there's one thing we're sure about that answer. The answer to that question tonight is you can't get it wrong.
No, that's true. That's true. There are plenty of contenders for Crystal Palace in the blue and red. Forward by Richards to the halfway line, and Evans. Now Casemiro to Ahmad in the centre circle. Manchester United don't have long to recover.
I don't think Dean Henderson's got any mud on his kit.
One save, and Manchester United are thankful for the final whistle. A woeful night for Erik ten Hag, and there will be more questions over his position after a desperately disappointing result and performance. Manchester United humbled at Selhurst Park, beaten by 4-0 by a Crystal Palace team who at the moment under Oliver Glasner can do no wrong. A first ever league double for Crystal Palace over Manchester United, and the contrasted emotions between both sets of supporters is quite extraordinary. The delight and joy for the Crystal Palace fans, but utter dejection for Manchester United. And it's not just Ten Hag who walks down the touchline towards the dressing rooms away to our right who has to take responsibility. Surely some of these players have to as well. It's a pale imitation of a great Manchester United team, this, but for Crystal Palace, unbeaten in 5 in the Premier League, and things really looking up under their coach Oliver Glasner. And with the stars in the team, Elise, who scored twice tonight, Mateta got the second, Mitchell got the third, and the likes of Eze and Mark Gehi back off the bench as well. It is a bright future at Selhurst Park. It has finished on TalkSport, Crystal Palace 4, Manchester United 0.